Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the new Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure Joe Fixit Hulk, which is part of the Gamerverse line, which is very disappointing because I don't care about the game at all. Is that game, by the way, is it still a buggy mess, or did it finally get good and people actually like it? I have no idea. I stopped following. I had the game and then it was a buggy mess and I got rid of it. So let me know if you played the game, or if you even care about figures from the game. I'm very curious if this is a thing that people actually want, or if this is a thing that's being pushed because they're trying to sell the game. Usually figures are sold because of other things. I'm wondering if this is kind of reversed because of how bad the game started off. Let me know if you have any input on that. But anyway, this is the game version of a character which people want an actual comic version of for a long time. So maybe because of this, we're going to get one sooner rather than later with some part swaps. That'd be kind of awesome. But that's all kind of neither here nor there. Is the figure any good for what it is? And that's what we're going to talk about. So let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just about 21 centimeters, a little bit more than that because the hat sticks up some off the top of his head. And let's just call it 8 1/8 inches tall, not counting the very tippy top of the hat. And before we get into the rest of the review, we're going to do a question of the day. Which version of Hulk is your favorite? I don't mean which style of plain Hulk, like which artist. I mean which version. Like we have this one, we have Smart Hulk, we have Gladiator Hulk, or War Hulk, or there's all kinds of different Hulks. Let me know which one is your favorite. I think I'm kind of a fan of Planet Hulk, but I don't really care for the armor because it's Hulk and it doesn't really make sense. I like the character design. No, I'm going to go with Classic Hulk. I like the green and purple. That's my Hulk. Alright, on to the review. As far as aesthetics go, I like the sculpt work on this guy for the most part. I think it suits Hulk. It looks like a suit on Hulk. See what I did there? But no, it actually looks really good. It looks like it should for the character. It's highly accurate to the source material in the game. I looked up some images of it to make sure it looked good, and it does. I don't have any issues with the sculpt work. The paintwork is nice. We have the paisley tie on there, which is good. Paisley tie is always a good one to go with. This thing is painted well. The hat is painted well. The face, kind of hard to see probably, but it is also done very nicely. It looks kind of zombie-ish right there, the way the glare is on the eyes, but he's got a very nice paint job for the face. The shoes are painted well enough, so that's good. The only thing that really stands out to me as being an issue, aesthetically speaking, is the jacket part, the main jacket part. It's nice and matte. It looks really good. The sleeves and pants are pretty glossy. They stand out. They're not all glossy because we have like splotches of matte finish or flat finish, but mostly they're shiny. They're not actually glossy, but they're at least satin. And it's probably obvious on camera how much shinier the arms and legs are than the center part. So that's a big distraction. The hands are also shiny in the face. I could get by with that since it's skin. I think if the whole suit though looked like this, it'd knock it out of the park. It looks so much better that way. Definitely not if it was all like this. But either way, the two different combinations, and it's because of the material this is made out of, but this does look so much better than the rest. So I'm going to knock some points off for that. Actually, that's pretty egregious. It's going to look funny on the shelf if you have any sort of light hitting it at all. So I'm only going to give him a 7 out of 10 for the aesthetic. That finish, that level of finish is just not there for this guy. And I think it should be. And if they could have avoided that problem, and to some extent by giving it a little bit of a texture throughout the cloth, especially since the Gamerverse figures have more detail to them, they could have solved that problem. Or just made sure it had a nice flat finish, but they didn't. So that's a bummer. Now, as far as accessories go, we don't have any, so that's going to be a 0. And that accessories don't weigh in as heavily in my final scores, if you guys haven't noticed, because they are not as important as the qualities of the figure itself. And for somebody like this, I'm not sure an accessory is all that important anyway, so it's not that big of a deal for me. But it might be for you, so now you know he doesn't have any. Okay, as for the articulation, the head is on a double ball peg. We still get almost no range. A little bit of attitude. You can rotate, of course. Can it look up? Yeah, just barely. Can look down, just barely. And there's a gap in there. Like, why is there always a freaking gap in the necks on these figures? I mean, obviously it's hidden by the jacket and hair mostly, but there is a gap because they don't do the necks properly. I don't understand that. All right, as for the shoulders, that's as far up as they go, so that's very limited for almost no reason. Full rotation shouldn't be a problem. Let's see. Yeah, that works just fine. Okay, there's no bicep swivel up here. We have a single jointed elbow, which is going to give you your bicep swivel there. It's acceptable. The elbow's not quite 90. Right, it's pretty close to 90. And the rotation's there, but it's not like you're going to be putting him in a lot of poses anyway. But now you definitely aren't because you can't. So I think it's probably okay, but you can decide for yourself how you feel about that. It's definitely limited though. Wrists have a swivel and a hinge. They're fist hands. You don't really need to do much. Rotating them will probably be enough. For the torso, I don't know what's in there. It feels like a diaphragm joint. They actually sculpted, you can't get to it because it's glued, but they actually sculpted suspenders and stuff in there, which is nice, but you can't get to it. This is glued on. I guess maybe you could pull it off over the top, but you wouldn't want to because the arms are there. Anyway, you get at least a waist twist. It feels like a diaphragm joint to me. So you'll be able to adjust him a little bit, but you're not going to be doing too much with him, which is not really surprising. As for the hips, very limited going forward. Going back is almost none at all. Going out to the side, more than you'll need to use. Hulk shouldn't be doing the splits too much, so that'll be okay. You do get thigh swivels, obviously, where the legs connect. Single jointed knees, which give you less than 90 degrees, and a swivel, which is just a matter of connecting the legs to the legs. You don't really need that. And then the ankles are ball hinges. You get a decent enough ankle rocker if you need to do that, I guess. But going forward is very limited. Going back is also very limited. It's basically just enough to adjust his posture to get him to balance on a shelf. You're not going to really be posing this guy, which, I mean, it's Fixit Hulk, so you probably wouldn't need to anyway. But it's an action figure, and it's not like the aesthetics are so off the wall good that you don't care about the articulation. It should have decent articulation, especially since it's already on the figure. It's not there. At best, this is a 5 out of 10 for articulation. It's very limited. I would say this pose right here is mostly what you're going to be doing with him. Maybe a punching pose because it's Hulk, and you can get him into a punching pose. Barely. Like, it's pretty limited. But there you go. You're going to have like a punching pose like that kind of thing for those of you who do photography. Otherwise, that's all you're going to get. He's very limited. You're going to get a standing still pose for the most part. Okay, come on, Ty. There we go. All right, final verdict on this guy. It's underwhelming as far as a Build-A-Figure goes. It doesn't really matter because it's Fixit Hulk from the game, and I don't think most people are going to really be concerned about it other than it looks like Fixit Hulk, and it does look like him, so they're lucky that this is a guy that doesn't need much range of motion because they definitely didn't put much range of motion into his joints. I'm not knocking points off for it being from the game. I'm just saying people aren't going to be as concerned as hopeful for it to be really good. That's my hunch. Anyway, on paper, it looks good but doesn't function well, so I'm going to give it a final verdict of at a very generous 7 out of 10. There's nothing really good about this other than the sculpt, and they didn't do themselves any favor with making it look good with the finishing, and then you can't pose it. So yeah, very, very limited figure. Limited appeal, I think. But I am curious, so remember to answer the question of the day, which is your favorite Hulk? And then the previous question, which isn't of the day, but it was today, what's the deal with that game? Is it popular now? Did they fix it? Is it working? Is it still a mess? Let me know if you guys are into it or not. I'm just curious. Alright guys, there it is. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. You should do that, and you should click the bell thingy. You should come back for more. I have new videos almost every day. And I have thousands already on the channel. So, like I said, come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.